Welcome everyone back for another episode of Core Living. And in this episode, we are going to unravel the most important question of them all. What is the meaning of life? Any takers? Any takers? Huh? I don't know. There's a lot of people over the years that have tried to unravel this question. Many religions have tried to tackle it. Many philosophies, intellectuals, and it seems like it feels like we are no farther ahead than when we started when it comes to this question. But maybe it just is that we are not tackling it from maybe the right angle.
Or maybe there just is no meaning.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Could be.
But why is it that there feels this? Why do people feel this need for there to be a meaning, like an arrival point, a place of like a destination that is reached with life? And if that doesn't exist, it seems like people they disengage with life. It makes them feel depressed. But I think to feel depressed about something like that is to assign meaning. So, it's kind of like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, maybe. I don't know. Jared, what do you think?
Well, why would you want a life with a prescribed meaning? Like, your whole purpose is to worship God. Would you want that? Now you have to live up to a purpose that somebody else has set for you. And what if you struggle with that and you can't do it? Or what if it doesn't suit you, you don't like it, in your heart you want to rebel against that?
Yeah, but what if you came to that realization on your own? No one told you, no one said you had to do that, but for some reason you convinced yourself in your intellect that I should be doing this with my life, and that is the most optimal thing I should be doing to
Well, that's different. That's a different answer. That isn't a predetermined meaning to life. That's one that you've ascribed to yourself.
Yeah. Are they still delusional though if they come up with a meaning? If they say, I've got the meaning, I discovered it. Well,
anybody who says they've got the meaning of life for everybody else, yeah, they're full of shit. But if they come up with it for themselves, that's one. You're allowed to find the meaning that's going to help you in this life. My opinion.
Yeah.
The meaning of life is death.
That's loaded. Would you like to expand upon that?
Yeah.
So it's death. So that means that we're the reason that life exists, that organic or whatever, maybe it doesn't even have to be organic. I don't know.
Well, you didn't choose to be born, but you can kind of choose how well you die. So we're all going to die. Everything here that is, animated and living is alive. None of us know what death's about. But we're all headed there. Everything is headed there over a long enough time period. So clearly the meaning of life is death, because that's what happens. So you didn't get to choose how you were born, but you kind of get to choose the manner in which you get to choose what you do with your time on this planet, and then ultimately what you leave behind. Because after you die, the world doesn't stop, reality doesn't end, you're just gone. So the meaning could be to leave behind a good legacy, given that you have enough humanity in you to give a crap about anyone other than yourself, then you're going to want to leave, then you're going to have some feelings towards the people that you leave behind. How about that's the meaning? Why can't that be the meaning? But if
that's noble, that's a very, very common. I find like most cultures kind of like at the peak of them, they're like, that's what they want to do. They want to leave some type of a lasting legacy. It seems to be like the go-to because you can't prevent your death. It's going to happen. So the only way for me to somehow live on is to pass on something good of myself to others that will carry that torch into the next generation. But
the meaning of your life is going to change. The first 6 years of my life, The meaning of my life was to get Street Fighter 2 Turbo. James said that he would give it to me if I cleaned his room. Remember? You told me if I cleaned your room, you would get. I'm still waiting for it. I never got it for you. I think it happened on more than one occasion. He kept convincing me. If I cleaned his room, he'd give me Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and it was so meticulous. I remember he had these paints, and because he was crazy, he had these paint brushes in water on his desk, and he would go on and on. He's going to be the next Picasso. He's going to be the next Picasso. And I accidentally knocked them over, and the water went into the underwear drawer. And as a punishment, I had to hold his underwear. We couldn't dry them in the machine. I had to hold the underwear while he blow dried them with a blow dryer, and they flapped in my face because it was punishment because I did a bad job. I never got the Street Fighter Turbo.
Yeah.
I never did get it. Maybe one day. Anyway, the point is that your goals change, and the meaning of your life changes as you get older, and yeah, it matures. That was, you have childish meaning when you're younger, and then who knows what the meaning of your life will be when you're 60. Maybe it'll have changed by then.
Isn't it the beauty of it though, that it's kind of flexible, that you can go for a goal, you can put your whole life purpose towards achieving something. If you actually do reach it, like, you can move on beyond that. I think sometimes a lot of people, they acquire their goals, they get what they want, and then
Some of us are still waiting. Some of us are still waiting and still doing favors and not getting what they.
Yeah, but I don't know. I kind of I like the idea of reality being flexible for that, so that you can do many things, that you don't have to lock down your brain on some idea, especially that someone else has set out or prescribed and said, take this path because it's the ultimate path, it's the best path, and it'll make you the most happiest. Usually I found out in life that by doing things like that, it's made me completely miserable. And looking within, trying to maybe find what I enjoy more, I think it actually helps with my life, but I think it also helps the people around me, because when you're doing what you love or pursuing things that you love, you're easier to be around for other people.
So maybe the meaning of life is to just feel as good as possible.
Well, that could obviously go.
Maybe that's a wise way to go. Is
maybe
just
that
feel
could go,
as good as possible.
Maybe that could go too far though too. Maybe a balance.
I don't know. I think you're pretty safe.
Even if it was just doing something that was maybe bad for you, or tearing yourself down. That there could be some ripple effects. You could hurt others.
But if you feel good, you're going to be good to people.
Yeah, to a certain extent. I think.
Not necessarily.
I think I'm onto something. Just
I think
seek pleasure. Seek pleasure.
I don't know, Jared. What do you think?
Heroin addicts are seeking that.
I bet you they're happy.
They're struggling. They're struggling.
Teach their own.
Yeah. Or maybe as to whatever self-indulgent pleasure you seek for yourself, you will have to also feel the weight of the other side of that spectrum. But I don't know about that.
I don't know. I've been doing heroin for years. I feel pretty good.
Says the frown on your face.
Says the guy who's got a problem with Zen Gardens.
How dare you?
I'll leave.
How dare you bring up the Zen Gardens?
I will leave.
I don't know. I've met people who have been clearly bothered by the fact that they're going through life, just trying to survive, do what they got to do, but it bothers them that they feel that life is meaningless. Why does it bother them that life feels meaningless?
I think somewhere they've believed something somebody's told them. And that's what's causing it.
Mm.
And what's telling in what you just said is that people are just trying to survive. If you're not trying to live, you're probably going to be depressed and you're going to wish that things had some meaning. But if you actually went to try to live, to do the things that were in your heart that you could tap into, you wouldn't feel, once again, I'm not a clinical psychologist. I'll preface this answer with that.
No, we're taking this on.
But I suspect if the things that were in your heart to do were the things that you went after and stopped being so convinced you needed to do things that other people wanted you to do, I think overall you'd be happier, and not blanket happy as in there aren't trials and tribulations in this life to get over, but you'd find kind of the purpose and meaning of your life to sustain you through those things, right? Like it's fun to want, if you have a goal, let's take, for instance, if somebody likes going to the gym and they're into bodybuilding. All bodybuilders and fitness people will tell you there's tons of workout. Probably half the workouts they have suck. They don't feel optimal. They wish they felt better when they went, but they got a goal and overall they enjoy it and they push through that. And it's worth it for the days when they do succeed. And same with athletes. Athletes aren't setting world records track athletes aren't setting world records every time they hit the field or whatever event they're doing. They can't. Even Usain Bolt didn't set a new record every race he ran. And so
maybe lack of meaning comes from stunted creativity, like the inability to create for yourself or a vision of what you might want to accomplish, pursue it, and get after it. So, and then
I don't think it necessarily means creativity, though, because what if you're a teacher? You're not necessarily creative. Not that you can't be, but just taking a profession like teaching, maybe it's within you you've got the talent, the skill, the desire, the love in your heart for students that's just where you feel you are. And it's not necessarily a creative endeavor. It's just what you want to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily even pay the best, but it's what you want to do. And it's what makes your days enjoyable, that you do it regardless of the struggle, regardless of how crappy the bulk of the students are, regardless of if the pay was bad, regardless of, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think people get caught up in believing that they need to be a certain way, and they haven't listened to themselves. They're not saying, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this job, or I didn't want to go to school to be a doctor. I liked woodworking. I like to whittle away at wood. I know it doesn't pay as much, but man, I think I can do some stuff with this. I like carving, or I like painting, or I like writing music. And the other thing is you can't, I would say part and parcel with that is you can't believe the expectations people will associate with certain pursuits as well. Like, I know so many people who've wanted to be artists, but they're not going to be famous. So that kind of taints it for them. But if you really wanted to be it, you do it regardless of, financial rewards or praise from others. You do it because that's what you want to do. That's where you feel your best. And, let the chips lie where they may, Sometimes it doesn't pay, and sometimes you got to supplement with, a real job. But whatever.
Use your extra time.
You've got to set the time aside to do the things that are gonna bring out the life within you. If you don't set aside that time, it's easy to go down that path of life's meaningless. It's pointless. I'm never happy. I never enjoy it. It sucks, But if you can set aside the time for the thing that it's like, what? At least a part of me resides in this realm. I need to be doing this. And that's kind of where you find, I think that's kind of where you can find
Do
meaning,
something.
or
Do something.
at the
Try
at the
things.
very least, the will to go on.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything is better than nothing, or
Mhm.
just, you know, like just move, just get up.
Well, there's a lot of wisdom to the old Nike slogan, "Just do it," right? And it sounds
do
it sounds very easy, and yet it is a struggle if you're bound by certain things you believe, certain rules you feel you need to follow to just do what you want to do. It isn't as easy as just it is, and it isn't as easy as just doing what you need to do. But there is a mental block, and
Yeah.
people just got to get over that. They've got to stop being beholden to these laws, rules, beliefs that are stifling them.
Yeah. Well, I think you brought up a good point. I think there's definitely something to be had within that. That at least on a small level, maybe we haven't answered the full question, but it seems that on just a personal level, you can find meaning in just simply searching out and pursuing your own interests, your own creative habits and stuff like that, and you can find some meaning in that. So I think that's definitely something we could all use to take with us. But I think with that said, we'll wrap things up here. I hope you liked the episode. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button. What's that?
I said I like the tie with the t-shirt.
Hey, well, if you like the tie, hit the like, baby. And then hit the subscribe button, share it with a friend, and everybody, until next time,
That's my tie. I brought that tie.
stay spiritual.
Stay spiritual.
Stay spiritual.